Hi, my name's Megan. I am the admin assistant here at Young Manchester, and we are here today to speak about recruiting a new young co-CEO. This is Imogen. She is our current CEO at Young Manchester. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Thanks, Megan. We just wanted to record a little bit of a video today talking about the young co-CEO role at Young Manchester. We're really excited about what we think is a fairly innovative model and fairly new model where, as an adult CEO, I'm going to give up half of my job and put it in the hands of a young person and share that job with a young person. So really excited.
Yeah, so cool. So I'm going to think of some questions now that I would imagine some people might have about this role, if that's all right.
For sure.
So I'll go ahead. Why are we hiring a young co-CEO here at Young Manchester?
It's a really good question. The first question for me is around first principles. Through all my career, I've been working on children and young people's rights, and I think that children and young people have a right to a say in decisions that affect them. So that's kind of my first principle, my first kind of driving force for this. And I think there are lots of ways in which we share power with children and young people, and we realise that right to a say in decisions that affect them. We have kind of an ambassador programme. We employ young people through the team. We've supported social action throughout the city in the 4 or 5 years that Young Manchester's been around. We've got young board members. But I guess that one of the key kind of focal points for decision making and the strategy of the organisation is the CEO role, and that was one of the parts of the organisation that although was informed by children and young people's voice, it wasn't kind of held by children and young people's voice. It's the most senior leadership role in the charity, so we think it's making a really bold statement that at the most senior role in the organisation that the part of the organisation that we spend the most money on, arguably in terms of HR, and the kind of focus of the organisation and the face of the organisation, that kind of the person that holds the ambassadorial role, the person that holds the strategy, the person that's kind of the key focus for the budget, that needs to be shared with a young person.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. And it is so exciting. It's definitely something I've never seen before. So that's really cool. So why now? How have we got to this point where we're able to hire a young co-CEO?
That's a really good question, and you're going to have to forgive me because I get asked this question quite a lot about why this funding bid now, or why this intervention now, or why this budget now, and I always say the same thing, and that's the best time to do it was 25 years ago or a generation ago, and the second best time now is now. And I know that's really cheesy, but I also mean it. Like, we should have always been sharing our power with children and young people, but now, and because we haven't done that, so now we have to do it, right? It's urgent. But the reason it's urgent at the moment, I think, is because I guess the challenges that young children and young people face in this city and beyond are huge. So like 42% of children in this city are in poverty. It's a wicked, difficult, challenging problem. We've got huge amount, like, we're going to feel the huge impacts of climate change. And these are a cost of living crisis. These problems are enormous, and these problems and these challenges are the fault of adults making decisions that impact on children and young people, that impact on children and young people's lives, and it's not okay. So we need different ways of thinking. We need to share our power with young people. We need different ways of thinking. We need innovation. We need to open up conversations and do things in different ways, because the things that we're doing now, the things we're trying now, are failing so many children and young people in this city, and it's just not okay.
Yeah, especially when young people kind of bear the brunt of these big challenges that are presenting.
Yes, that's it. They're living the consequences of adult decision making, and so we need to break that open somehow.
Yeah, definitely, that makes complete sense. And as who the young person will be sharing their role with, talk us through a typical day. What does a typical day in the life of a CEO at Young Manchester look like?
Again, this is properly cheesy. That's two cheesy answers I'm going to give you in one interview. But there isn't really a typical day. But I think that's a massive strength of the organisation, and that because we're quite small, quite agile, the CEO role touches lots of types of activity. So in a typical day, I might be looking at the budget, I might be doing a funding application, I might be running kind of a support and supervision session with a staff member, I might be developing some new programme ideas with the young staff, might be responding to some feedback or a complaint. So there's lots and lots of there's lots of different things that we're doing because we're a small charity. There isn't a separate finance department, there isn't a separate HR department, there isn't a head of innovation or anything like that. So one of the great things about being CEO is you get to use lots and lots of skills. So in my career so far, I've spent much of my career in large charities, so I got to develop like a particular skill set. And now I get to try all kinds of different things and do different things all day. And so I think for a young CEO starting out in their career, this is a really nice way of getting a really rounded work experience before they do whatever's next.
Yeah. And with such a varied daily life, such a variety of tasks, what do you think the key things we'd be looking for in a young CEO with that in mind, with your daily life in mind?
Selfishly, I'm looking for someone that kind of complements my skill set, and someone that's really kind of interested in getting out there and developing new relationships, developing new partnerships to support children and young people. I'm looking for someone who will obviously have a powerful job, but is equally willing to share their power and willing to hear different views and not necessarily represent children and young people, because it's very hard to represent all children and young people with different experiences, but to kind of actively seek out their experiences. I'll be looking for someone who can solve problems. We're a really small charity with so we need to be quite creative and quite resourceful. I'll be looking for someone we'll be looking for someone, because I've been recruiting alongside the board, we'll be looking for someone who's got leadership capability, and also kind of self-awareness, and can kind of hold themselves and know who they are and what they want to achieve, and how they can support others to achieve the organisation's mission. I'm wondering what you think we should be looking for, Megan, because you're obviously in a different role in the organisation. What are you looking for in a leader?
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting way of turning it on its head. I think I'm looking for someone who's obviously really excited by the role, who's really wants to do the work that we're already doing, and has that grounding in like our mission statement as wanting to like support young people and children in Manchester, and kind of has that underlying all the work they do, because I feel like once you've got that kind of frames, but of course someone who's approachable and cool and fun, if I can choose someone cool and fun. But I don't know, if I was to say like to someone who's thinking of applying, I think I would say like just look at your experience as a young person that you might not typically think would prepare you for this role, because I don't think, or I'm just speaking for myself, that you would feel ready for this role, maybe. Or you naturally feel capable of being a CEO, because we're not looking for your typical like CEO CV. We want a young person who has this varied background and experiences that young people have classic CEOs, or older CEOs, shall we say, have not had, or have had a long time ago, no offense, and can't remember it, and don't live that experience as a young person anymore. Just look at your experiences so far, and where you think maybe you've been a leader, or you've organized things, and kind of realize your own potential and your own power to like step into this role, basically. I don't know if that made much sense, but
I love it.
It made sense in my head.
I love that answer. I love that you started with fun, because you spend so much time with your colleagues. I spend more time with my colleagues than I do with my children, certainly awake time. So I think that kind of being able to get on with others and have a laugh, and take the work seriously for sure, but be able to connect with people really personally, I think is really, really important. So I love that you started with fun. And I love that kind of stepping into your power and stepping into the potential and opportunity. I think I'm a very recent CEO. I've only been a CEO since January. So I think I say that I have some recent experience of stepping into that role and kind of, I guess, confirming myself as a leader. So I'm sure it'll be the same for a young person, to just kind of spot the talents that they have and lean into those and share them with others. I think that's really lovely. So thanks very much, Megan. That's a great question.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. I feel like that would be a really great fresh dynamic, though, bearing in mind that you have just recently come into this role as well. So I feel like that power sharing will be much more at the forefront, because you'll both be kind of navigating it together in a way, which I think is really exciting. And yeah, we are a fun, cool team, by the way. So we have a great time.